Hello, friends. Feliz Navidad. Look at that. The tree,
Feliz
it's festive.
Navidad.
In addition to all the other things, it's Victory Monday,
Sure.
I guess. Why not?
Yeah.
Sure. The Carolina Panthers did not play football yesterday. It remains Victory Monday thanks to their friends in New Orleans who took care of business down in Tampa Bay. And now, all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, your Carolina Panthers are tied for first place in the NFC South with 4 to play. We're going to break it all down for you on this episode of the Happy Half Hour, brought to you by our friends at Deep Eddy Vodka. And look how happy this is. This is a scene from Charlie Brown.
That's Christmas right there.
It really is. It's practically Woodstock sitting on top of that bottle of Deep Eddy. That's Chuck the Duck. He's an old friend of the show. It's it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas in some places, but it's just Victory Monday here. It's all football all the time. Bonus Monday, and your Carolina Panthers are back to work.
Anytime you can win your bye week, that's a good bye week, and that's essentially what happened for the Panthers this week. Because they kind of won in a couple of ways. Like, stick with me here. They won in the obvious way in that the Saints beat the Bucs, and so now the Panthers, like you said, are tied for first in the division. They also got a really, really good look at the two teams they have to beat over the next 4 weeks if they want to stay in that spot. Dave Canales was funny today. He was like, he said, I usually try to watch games if I'm able to just watch a game instead of film. He's like, I usually try to still watch it just to, watch the ball. And he said, I got a little emotional watching that game yesterday. He's like, it's hard not to because, he knew what was at stake.
Yeah.
And then the guys in the locker room were really interesting talking about it as well because they were like, we kind of got an unfettered look at these two teams that we're going to have to face. And, Christian Roseboom was like, yeah, of course, it's always a little easier on the iPad because you can pause and you can really look at stuff. But they were able to see the full game, not just through X's and O's, but also just kind of the moxie, I guess you could say, that the New Orleans Saints have been playing with the past couple of weeks, and the fight that they have. And, Turk Wharton, Nick Scorton, they all kind of made the comment, like, it was good to see that. And remember, this is a team that walked in here week 10 and handed the Panthers a loss. 17-7 loss in their own home stadium. And it was good to kind of be reminded of that and to see how tough the Saints are playing and keep that in mind as they begin preparations and get into the logistics of the X's and O's this week.
Yeah, that Tyler Shuck boy, he's got something going on. And I said that with the confidence of a man who learned how to pronounce his last name 5 weeks ago.
You need to be very careful how you pronounce it. I got to give credit to the Saints, too, for leaning into his name. Some of their tweets yesterday were cracking me up. The best one was him walking off the field, like being like, yeah. And it said, came into Tampa and shucked things up.
Oh.
I was like, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Tip the hat to that.
That one can go down a lot of bad roads. You can get yourself into trouble with Tyler Shuck jokes in a hurry.
Nick Scorton told us back before week 10, he was like, I trained with this kid. He's like, y'all, and he's not even a kid. He's 26 years old. He's like, y'all need to watch out for Tyler. Like, he's a good little quarterback. And they've certainly started to rally around him the past couple of weeks. It's going to make it a much more interesting matchup on Sunday than I think we thought it would be a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll get more into the Saints later in the week. Unlike last week when I promised a second edition, I forgot that there was this thing called Thanksgiving the other week. Yeah. We never got around to that one, but we'll be back for you later this week to get deeper into the Saints portion of this thing. But one of the things I wanted to do is just that's the beauty of this podcast. It's such a well-planned podcast. It's all right here in the hieroglyphics. But
he did yell at me for not reading this thing right before we started.
That's right.
I said, how am I reading that?
There's important stuff in here. You've just got to know it all. We put a breakdown of the playoff permutations on Panthers.com earlier today. We do it so you don't have to. The short version of this all is the New Orleans Saints this week is the most important game of them all because it's the one this week. Yes. And that's the thing football people always say. And I know football players and coaches can't buy into this, but I know you people, our fans, our listeners, our consumers, our friends, really. We're all family here. People are very interested. The short version of this is all going to come down to 3 games. This is going to come down to Saints-Panthers this week, Falcons-Bucs on Thursday night, and a couple of Bucs-Panthers games. And when you've got the team you're tied with twice, right now they haven't played head-to-head. Second tiebreaker's division. They're both sitting there at 2-1. So that one's tied. The third tiebreaker is actually common games. So you get into the games they played against the NFC West and AFC East. And in that one, the Bucs have an advantage for now. But they've each got a game to be played because Panthers still got Seattle, Bucs still got Miami. The Bucs are ahead by a game in that tiebreaker at the moment, but if Carolina Panthers beat Seattle in Week 17 and then the Bucs lose, then you're tied there again. Then it goes down to conference record. At the moment, the Panthers are a half game ahead of the Bucs in that one. Then you go to strength of victory, which is a Panthers advantage because they've got a better grade of wins than the Bucs do at this present time.
Packers and the Rams.
Because of the Packers and the Rams and more wins against teams that are in that 6-7 win stripe like Dallas rather than just a bunch of 3s and 4s, which is a long way of saying go beat the Bucs.
I was about to say, I'm about to pull a Darin here and be like, none of this matters if you just take care of your games against the Bucs.
That's right. And that's the thing. I really don't like doing math. Ask her if she enjoys doing math.
There was no way I was ever going to do that story that went up today.
Actually, a little bit of longhand math is not the worst thing in my world because if I can get out my pencil and a piece of paper and make it make sense, that feels good every now and then. But
I appreciate math in theory. That doesn't mean I can do it.
That doesn't mean you want to do it or want to sign up for it. But no, the reality is having those two games against the Bucs is huge because that's where this division's going to be decided. And so much has been made of the improvement this team has made over the course of the year. But Canales talked about it today, and he said it's easy to get guys' attention because they see what's right there in front of them. I mean, the old idea. And I loved it. Canales got into dad mode today. He was dropping some of that dad wisdom today. He even said the words out loud, how you'll do anything's how you'll do everything. And I was like, yeah, dad mode activate.
I was like, oh, mark that one off on the bingo board. We haven't had that one yet this year.
That's right. I mean, it's such a classic of dad wisdom, and it applies to cleaning the garage or playing the Buccaneers for the NFC South title. Having that there.
You know what it just made me think of?
What's that?
That trip, I'm going to call it a field trip, that he took them on last year to the Hendricks Motorsports. And
that's
the guy
right.
cleaning up the grease.
Yeah. Those guys were the most immaculately detailed people, and he took them on that trip on purpose because, A, they're super successful at what they do, and to that point. But right now, I mean, and he said it's right there in front of us. If you miss the lesson right now, what are you even doing?
You ain't paying attention.
You ain't paying attention because the stakes are there, and it's been such a minute since the Carolina Panthers have played these games with stakes. As we've talked about before, 22 had a playoff run. The game out here against the Lions when it was minus a million degrees outside or 20, I don't know. And they run for 320 against the Lions and Ben Johnson's offense. That was a memorable game, but everybody knew there was a coaching search coming on the backside of it, and everything was interim at that point, most of the players and the coaches too. So this one feels so different for these guys, and because it's such a new team, because it's so fresh, because it's such a young team, these guys are kind of coming at this thing clean, and there aren't that many people who are around from the 22 games to begin with, and because this team's so young, it feels fresh. And again, just walking through the locker room today, you can sense that excitement in there for what's in front of them.
And on that note, too, I think you got to give credit to Dan Morgan for being very intentional about who he brought in over the past 2 off seasons. Because Turk Wharton said today, he's been on teams that have played these sort of meaningful games at this point of the year, the first 4 years of his career, playing with the Kansas City Chiefs. And he said, and there's a guy 2 lockers down from him, Mayshawn Robinson, that's kind of been in the same position. A lot of guys here that won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Obviously, like we said, Turk, who's won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs a couple of times. And so you don't have guys that have been here doing it for the Panthers before. I mean, Derek Brown is from 22 still. J.C. Horn, also, Brady Christensen, guys like that, but Brady's not playing. Point being that Dan was very, very intentional about who he brought in here across a multitude of levels. Of course, what they do on the field is going to be the biggest part of it. But what they bring to the locker room was also a big part of it. He told us that when they brought these guys in here.
No doubt.
You're starting to see it pay off right now because Turk said he kind of stood up in his position room this morning and was like, guys, I've been in these games. I've been in these December games where everything's in front of you. And this is where, the rubber meets the road and you have to really lock in. He said he kind of just gave a speech to his whole unit, and then Canales echoed it in the team meeting. And that's where you might not have the experience of doing this in a Panthers helmet, but you still have that experience in the locker room. And those are the guys that are stepping up right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And I did a math here. It is exactly 8 dudes on this roster right now who are around for those 22 games that started to matter.
Let's see if I can name them.
Yep.
DB.
Yep.
JJ Jansen.
Uh-huh. He's been here for a lot.
Yeah, that was an easy one. That was a gimme. JC Horn.
Yep.
Brady.
Well, he's on IR.
Oh, okay. Tommy.
Okay. Tommy.
Chuba.
Yeah. The class of 22.
How many am I at?
You're at 5 right now.
So I got 3.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a hint. It's Taylor Moton, Austin Corbett, and Ike Aquano.
Thanks.
It's a lot of offensive linemen on that list. So, again, that's kind of those guys. They've been here. They've seen some things. And it was funny after the Rams game the other week talking to Austin about it because he was on that Rams Super Bowl team, comes here to build something, and then is in the position of, okay, now we're this close. Now you can feel it. That's why guys get so emotional about this stuff, because the guys who have been here through that and then the getting back up to this point, it means a lot to them. They've got skin in this game.
Yeah, and that's what you want it to be. Football is oh gosh, I could never say this word right, and I would have just said it with confidence, however, but I can feel you getting ready to make fun of me.
I'm here
cyclical.
For you. That cyclical is exactly right.
Yes.
And by the way, I reject that. I'm here to support you.
Sure,
I always have been.
Matt,
now,
is that the truth? Nice.
Every now and then you say something homeschoolish, and I have to call it to everyone's attention because I'm kind of a bully sometimes. I've been
Football
told.
is cyclical.
Yeah, it is.
Because think about even just something as simple as who are the top teams in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
I mean, the Rams are still that team.
Rams, Broncos, Patriots.
Yep.
When was the last time those teams were really, really relevant? About 10 years ago?
It's been a minute for some of them, yes.
And I think you could argue the same for the Panthers. And so it comes in waves, and the important thing is being able to catch it when it comes back your way and knowing what to do with it. And they're definitely learning how to do that. Does that mean that they're about to go on a playoff run this year? I don't know. But they've taken on the lessons that have been presented to them, and they've passed some of them. They have not passed others, but they've been able to bounce back from it. To me, no matter what happens the rest of the 4 games this year, it makes me very excited to see what happens next season.
Yeah, I mean,
and I know I'm looking ahead, but still.
That's because it is a building team. It is a young team. It's a team that was put together intentionally, as you said, for stuff like this. I mean, having so many fresh faces around here was absolutely on purpose and in the way they built it. So it is a good sign for what's to come. Speaking of good signs, we walked out on that practice field a little bit today in the rain and the cold. And, friends, it is cold.
Yeah.
It is cold. It was practically snowing as
it
far
was
as you know.
sleeting at one point. Like it was actually sleet.
There is stuff I will call snow, whether Brad Panovich recognizes it or not. It felt snowy to me.
Charlotte snow.
Doggone it. It was a Charlotte blizzard out there. The Carolina Panthers practiced anyway, and there were dudes running around. Christian Roseboom was out there feeling good again. J.C. Horn and Claude Cherla still in the concussion protocol, but Canales said they were trending toward getting back out there this week.
They were able to do individual stuff, which was nice.
There were dudes out there running around, and that's a good thing.
I'm trying to think. There were more people than that, too. Who else was out there?
Well, I mean, Claude and J.C., let me do
Roseboom.
a journalism. Yep.
We said that one.
Oh, Trayvon Merrick's back, but he was suspended.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not a injury absence. That was just
Cade Mays.
It was not an injury to him anyway.
Right.
But yeah, Cade Mays. There you go. There's the other one I was fishing for. So getting guys back on the field starts to stabilize things. That's the other great thing a week off will do for you.
Yeah. Lathan Ransom wasn't able to practice, but, he's still kind of coming back from that hand. We saw Robert Hunt over in the return to play area, still not quite there where they want him to be yet, but trending in such a way where it's not out of the realm of possibility to see him back this season, which is just incredible to say given the injury. So yeah, exciting. A lot of guys even made this comment today that when the schedule first came out and they saw week 14 they were like, are you kidding me? Week 14? What is that? And they were like, now, sitting here where we are now, it came at the perfect time. You had just kind of a string of defensive injuries right there. And to have a week to get healthy, to bounce back right before you make arguably the most important stretch of your schedule in front of you, it was very fortuitous.
Yeah, it was. Speaking of fortuitous, a break is good for everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm as fresh as a daisy right now.
Are you really?
As fresh as you're going to be in week 15
I
of an
wasn't sure
NFL
if you were
season.
sarcastic or not. I actually feel great. I was excited to get back in here today. I texted Darin this on Saturday, I believe it was, because, again, I'm not sure. At one point on what turned out to be Saturday, I literally asked myself, what day is it? Because I had no idea. I had to go find my phone, which I didn't even know where that was either.
Yeah.
So I go pull my phone out from a couch cushion and looked at it. The phone could have said Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and nothing would have surprised me.
Yeah.
Because I had no concept of what the time was. And that's what, it was a very refreshing time. Excited to get back on here because this next month is going to be a sprint, but this is what you do it for.
Yeah, you know what? I got into a situation. Wife and I took a couple days, went up to the mountains, just kind of chilled for a little bit, didn't do a lot of work, and she tells me I get twitchy at a certain point. She's like, I can tell when I'm losing you. Like around July 15th, she's like, no more vacations. Yeah. Darin's done. He's in training camp mode. He's ready to go. She was like, I can tell when you're no longer with me and you just need to go back to work and do the thing. I was able to hold that off until about last night when I started sketching out some of these tiebreaker scenarios. Yeah. But
that was me yesterday when I forced myself to not do anything for a couple of days. Just caught up on TV, really important things. And then yesterday I was sitting there watching games and I was like, I could be getting work done. And so knocked out a couple of stories ahead of time just to get ahead of the curve. And
See, this is why I like this one. She works hard. She's always into it. She's ready to go.
I watched enough TV to get me by. I was like, I got to get back to work.
Yeah, it's that time. And it is definitely time to get back to work. So keep it locked on to Panthers.com. Again, we've got your helpful playoff
simulator. Sure.
I don't know. Explainer. How about that? Explainer.
Primer.
Primer, that'll work. Your playoff primer is sitting there on Panthers.com. All the latest from Monday. You got a cool story coming about just the dudes watching it on TV and what NFL players are like when they're reduced to fans. And so that's all good stuff. Keep it locked on the YouTube channel, Panthers.com, for the next couple of days. As this team ramps up and starts having stakes, we're going to have more stuff coming your way. So it's that way for us, too. We appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you for being here for this episode of the very festive Happy Half Hour presented by our friends at Deep Eddy, and we'll see you later on this week.